Hi again. I am back. It's been a while. I've been starting a new job and that takes up so much mental space. And I've come to realize that it's hard to focus on other areas of my life when other than one thing. So if there's a particular thing that takes up so much of my space, my mental space, then it leads me to only focus on that one thing, and it's hard to focus on other areas of my life. However, I'm here because I miss talking about any thoughts and feelings. I miss this. I miss recording. Honestly, it feels like I do have an audience. My community is small, but I feel it already. I feel this sense of a obligation, or not necessarily an obligation, but that there's people waiting to hear me. I just feel it. So, and I think there is, even if it's just one person, then that person is waiting to hear you. So take it as a gift that 10 people or more, they need to hear you. So I was originally going to wait for this period of time when I had less on my mind, and I thought to myself, why wait? Because if there's something that I want to say, I don't want to wait to have more. Of course, I want to have more of a clear mind, and I want less clutter in my mind while I make videos and talk to the audience and the viewers. However, I cannot wait for a certain time. If there's something that I want to be said that needs to be expressed, I don't want to wait for a certain time to do so. So I was like, you know what, today's the day. I'm going to record, and I'm also happy that I'm able to use these earphones because I've had them for a while, but I never thought to include them in my videos, which it makes it so much easier because it allows me to talk at my regular volume without having to raise my voice, because I don't like to raise my voice. I like to talk very quietly, and my job right now requires me to pick up the phone and raise my voice, which is it's a growing edge. It's, you know, I want to be able to talk like this anywhere I go, but certain settings I'm having required to adjust my volume. I think this discussion is going to be an interesting one. Clearing away the distortion of reality. Distortion of reality fading away. My intention is to break away our view of reality if it's causing harm or damage in areas of our life, challenging the way we are, challenging our outlook on life. Kind of ties into the co-creation video I made that was birthed onto my channel. So anyway, so let me start off with the way I would view life as a child, as a teenager, when I was in my early 20s. I thought life was gonna just happen the way I wanted to happen. I believe that things will just work out without putting in. I think there was this delusion of it just working out for me just because I wanted to. It's sort of like how manifestation is sometimes thought to be possible when we just change our thoughts, which is part of manifestation, but the action, the hard work, the effort is the other part. And I was excluding the effort, the action, the hard work, just because I didn't want to put in the hard work, the effort. I believe that if I wanted something to happen, I didn't need to do all the hard work, effort, and challenges. And that's another. I could diverge and this topic and mention the avoidance that occurs in my own life. Of course, that plays a part. The freeze response plays a part. However, I do not want to talk about that. I simply do not want to talk about my avoidance, my freeze response, at least in this video. I just wanted things to happen for me. I had this optimistic view. You know, if you have any Sagittarius in your chart, you have this like, things are gonna work out for me, this optimistic view, which I love it for us. However, it's helpful, but it's not going to be it's not gonna take us that far if we are not putting in the necessary steps that's required to make things happen. And I was also away for a while because I was going through a lot of stress and overwhelming emotions. And I'm coming out of it. However, I was forced to really look at what I was avoiding for so long. And I was forced to take action in my life because, which I will actually I will mention more later in this video, but my reality shifted in a way when I was starting to take action. This was just in March and April. And when I'm stressed and overwhelmed, it's hard to really just be there and show up for other people and making videos. So I'm looking at my notes. So painful lessons came with the avoidance. There was only so long I could hold on to this optimistic view of life that things will work out for me. And it bled into codependency as well. Because I was not taking action in my own life, it bled to being codependent on other people to maintain my sense of security, stability, which I had little to none of. And I didn't see that I was having this outlook on life that things would just work. I just didn't see it. I didn't necessarily see that I was avoiding responsibility and obligations. And responsibility, once we take responsibility, it's much easier to do what's required of us. And so with this amount of avoidance I was doing, I couldn't even see what I need to do because I was already avoiding even looking at what reality I was choosing to believe in. And when there's a sense of avoidance, there's a level of illusion. And with illusion, you can't see what's actually there. So that did damage to my sense of security and stability, and it forced me to, the people I was codependent on was no longer able to help me financially, and it forced me to to see that there was no more hiding, there was no more running away from responsibility and effort and hard work. And it's still an adjustment right now because it's new to me to have this sense of responsibility at work. Right now, my job requires me to be there Monday through Friday, and that's new for me, Monday through Friday schedule. And that was something I was praying for and I was asking for a long time. Like the last few years moving out of state, I was like, I want something stable. I just want a job that's consistent. The last few jobs I had, it was the hours were being taken away, the days were being taken away, and it's happening a lot. It's happening to a lot of jobs. A lot of companies are not giving you the hours, not giving you the days, and then you're barely making money, and then that leads you to have financial struggles, and that causes me specifically, oof, girl, with Saturn in the second house, girl, and the moon in the second house, oof. I'm not doing well mentally when my sense of stability and security is jeopardized. Like, I am more prone to depression, more prone to anxiety, more prone to feeling so low and helpless, overwhelmed, anxious, and I'm just can't really show up to life anymore. I feel like the room has gotten dark and my candle is like, it's barely lit. So the last few years has been constant instability and feeling insecure and never having a stable job where I can't feel comfortable with maintaining what I have. However, when I finally took charge of my own life instead of being codependent, instead of avoiding, it still took over a month to get a job, but I got that one yes. And the job market itself right now is very stressful. It's it challenges you to have trust in yourself, have trust in spirit, God, universe, higher power of any kind. It just kind of like takes you down on your knees and you're like, please please bring a yes to me, something to me, some employer, please allow one employer to say yes to me. Like, ooh, I feel for people who are going through it, and sometimes it takes 9-10 months, almost to a year for people. And that's what also discouraged me, because the last few years, I was always looking for another job because the job I had, of course, was inconsistent. So there's always this, my attention was always spanning and looking at other jobs because I couldn't stay at the job I currently had. And so even it took like there's periods I felt discouraged, so I just stopped looking. And that's okay. If you're in that period right now, it's okay, because sometimes you just want to, like, you know what, I want to take a break from this. Like, I'll get back to this in a month or so, or even longer. For me, it was longer. So it's just constant rejection, and it just takes it does take a toll on your life. So back to the story of getting that one yes and taking back control of my life. This ties into my outlook on life, because like I said before, I was like, things are gonna work out for me, and it wasn't until I think really last year I feel like, okay, I gotta take things more seriously now, because I can't hold on to this wishful thinking. It's causing damage to my own life. And once I that's when I started to be like, okay, like, maybe I should take a look at this way of thinking. And it just progressed over time. Over the past year, it became more and more clear to me that I need to shift the way my outlook on life needs to shift. So the past year has been, this gradual realization. And then just this year, the last few months, was when it became even more clear, and outside forces took away the relationships I had, the codependent relationships I had, which then led to really facing what needs to be done and what needs to be required of me. I think adulthood feels like you truly are required to sit in the fire of your emotions and to truly feel the ramifications that may occur with what decision you choose. So which reality did I want to come to see? Was it reality A, living in my mother's house, which was the reality if I had not taken the steps necessary to take charge of my own life? Or was it reality B, taking charge of my own life, which could mean trading time for money to maintain a sense of stability and security, at least for right now? And then maybe there was C or D, but that was like the main two options, A or B. And in life, you have to choose your consequence. Which consequence do you want to choose? So I chose B, working right now at a job so I can have my own sense of stability and security. I know people could argue like no job is secure right now. In some sense, nothing is secure. The next day is not secure. We don't know if we'll wake up. We don't know if we get in the car, there's gonna be an accident. I'm just saying, like nothing is secure. Everything's a risk. I think I heard somewhere that everything's a risk. Everything's a risk. So no matter what you choose, whether I'm making this video, you could argue that, I don't know how many views. It's a risk nonetheless. I don't know, it's a risk nonetheless, so I might as well make a video. So I'm challenging us to see which reality are we choosing to believe in. What kind of reality are you believing in right now? Some believe that things are going to work out for them just because they want to and without effort, like I did, and that could lead to procrastination, that could lead to not taking steps necessary, and that could lead to not putting in effort. I know it's not easy to just want to keep going. Like I said, the job market especially can feel discouraging. But for me at the time, there was no other plan B. Like I was like telling myself, there's no plan B. I have to just keep applying. Like there's no other option, There's no other option. And I think a lot of us live in that reality of just like, things are just gonna work out for me, and it allows us to stay comfortable with where we are at. We just want to feel comfortable because it leads to us feeling like predictability bleeds a sense of security. And human beings, we need a sense of security to survive. A sense of predictability leads us to believe that we are going to survive. So that's another, like I said, the reality of believing that things are going to work out for us. Another reality people can believe in is that it takes an extreme amount of work to make things happen, and like time and sacrifice. Like everything is hard, and things are hard, but loosen up on that kind of thing. Also, I'm kind of seeing it like, okay, yes, things are gonna take effort, but to believe that everything's gonna be an extreme amount of hard work, like, ooh, let's kind of, we can just maybe loosen that up a little bit, just a little bit. I believe that there is some sense of luck as well in life. I, for one, this job, the way it happened was very sudden and very unexpected, and I believe that I would have to choose that the option A was living in my mother's house, because I had rejections and I was very close to having that. I put a deadline to what I'm going to decide if I can't get a job. So I had a deadline. I was like, okay, if I can't get a job by this date, I'm gonna have to choose option A. But things happened suddenly, and now I'm like, oh, I'm working now. Like, it did happen. And actually, challenges can be healing. Our pain does expedite growth, and I believe that pain and suffering are there for us to grow. And at that time, the challenge of getting a job was it led, when I did get a job, I was like, you know what? No challenge is actually bigger than me. We're actually more powerful than our challenges. But it may not seem that way because it just feels so heavy and feels so challenging at the time. Like, it could feel like it's taking over me. In my experience, it's felt that way. Like, oh my gosh, this challenge is taking over me. Like, it feels like a cloud hovering over you and there's no sense of protection. But coming through the challenge of particularly looking for a job, obtaining a job, it's like, you know what? Like, yeah, it was not easy. Like, I feel like I'm kind of like finally reaching the top of a mountain. Or in a way, like, the mountain itself I'm still climbing the mountain, but it feels like I'm finally at a rest stop or a rest spot, kind of. So it feels like, like I'm almost like, like it, the cloud kind of like the cloud leaving in a way, like it's kind of not as cloudy anymore. Like, like I overcame this challenge. Like, I proved to myself, like, this challenge is not gonna take over me. So it feels like it feels empowering to just be like, you know what, to kind of want to stand tall and exhale and remember that, like, oh yeah, like, yeah, you didn't get a one over me. What's that saying? You didn't get one over me. Like, oh yeah, like, oh yeah, I got through you. Yeah, like, I got through you. But you're also like so like sweating almost and like tired. Like, okay, because it was hard. Like, it was not easy. So it was like, it's like you want to like rejoice, but at the same time you're kind of exhausted from actually getting through that challenge. So you kind of feel like, you know what, I'm just gonna rest for a moment. Like, that's how it feels for me. Like, oh my gosh, I got through this challenge, but let me just take a nap. So the question is, which reality will you choose? It doesn't have to be the A or B examples, but any kind of reality, looking at like, what kind of reality are you believing in right now? Oh yeah, I asked that question. So what reality am I believing in right now? The one where, in order to manifest any desire, it takes laser focus. So instead of in the past believing, oh, things are just gonna work out because I want them to. And this was not just the job market, this is also in relationships. So recently, actually, I met someone I really like, and I thought I was gonna go one way, but I didn't. I actually didn't want to be in a committed relationship like I did. And this is my first time actually being rejected, because I never been in a relationship. I haven't never been in a relationship, and so it's very rare for me to like someone enough to be in a relationship. This was my first time. Second, but kind of first, where I'm like, okay, I actually I can see myself with this person. They didn't want that, and I never expected to actually ever be rejected, in the sense that, like, it's almost, I had this idea like, oh yeah, just because when I'm older, I'm gonna like someone, and because I like someone, they must like me too, kind of, you know. So it was also a way of thinking that didn't serve me, and this rejection was also a confirmation that things will not always go the way I wanted them to go. Just like the job offers, I got rejected in certain jobs out. I was like, oh, I hope they, just, I want it, so I might get it, so. But there's other billions of people on this earth, so actually it did hurt. It might still do hurt, but it's like right now, my mind is elsewhere. And there's another reality, that, like I said, the one I'm believing in is, if you want something, you gotta be laser focused. The manifestations that came to fruition for me was when I was like very adamant on getting that goal. So when I moved, I wanted to move for a long time. I mentioned this before, it didn't work in the past because I was not meant to be in that particular city, but now I'm in a different city, and I still made it happen. And when we want something, we find ways to make it happen. And that's when I think the link between us and the desire, I imagine it as a string. And the more stronger and durable this line is between us and our desire, the more it magnifies and sends waves out to the cosmos. This is how I imagine it. So like, imagine this desire you want, and you just like, eyes on the prize, and you're just like, I'm gonna get it. This is mine, I'm gonna find a way. And somehow you do take the steps necessary, and the more steps you take that's necessary to reach that desire, the stronger the link goes. And it's almost like, this time I'm just picturing it, and it's like sends out waves into the cosmos, and the cosmos and the universe is like, okay, you want this desire, I'm gonna join your team now. I'm gonna join on your team. It's like you're playing a game, like Big Award, the genius on YouTube was like playing a game, and you like a football game, and it's like the touchdown is there, American football, the touchdown is there, and you're just like, that's the ultimate goal. But then you have, I'm not sure how sports work, but you have little goals along the way that's like each yard line. And it feels like the universe is like, once you're dedicated and committed to a certain goal, that's when the universe is like, all right, let me join on your team because I know you're serious about this goal now. And with the power of spirit, the power of the universe on your side, oh yeah, it's gonna happen. I believe it's gonna happen. It's just that it's not always to your imagination, but it's a way that it happens, but it happens in a way that will bring lessons so you can grow. So, and also doesn't mean it's gonna happen for you. So you want a particular job, that particular job might be for someone else. The universe and spirit might have that blessing might be for someone else, because yes, we want things to happen for ourselves, and it will, but we have to remember that things also happen for other people and are meant to happen for other people. Doesn't take away the blessing that will occur for you. It's just that it may not be the way that you think it is, because there's outside forces at play to kind of say, hey, this kind of blessing, this certain job is for someone else, this certain person is for someone else. I got you. It's okay, I got you. Like, you'll get that blessing, but in a certain way, you'll get that job, you'll get a job, but I got a job for you. Don't worry, I got a job for you. This job was for someone else. This person was for someone else. I got a person for you. So believing and trusting that it takes it's not easy to be like, I believe it's gonna work out. Trust. Sometimes it's like some days you're like, oh my gosh, when is it my turn? When is it my turn? So it takes a lot of trust and faith. And I believe that that's also something I'm believing in right now, like the amount of trust and faith it takes. And the reality I'm choosing to believe in right now is it takes hard work and consistency. Hard work, consistency, those two things. And of course, you could say other things too, but that's something I didn't believe in the past. Like I said, oh, it's gonna work out for me. No, you're gonna have to be laser focused on what you want. And with that laser focus, bring in the hard work, bring in the consistency. There's people who are successful who, I'm not saying everyone has to do that. We see the rarity that people's lives have on this earth that don't require hard work and, for them to get what they want, but that bleeds into luck. They may be fortunate to be in a family that already has generational wealth. So luck exists out there, but the majority of us will have to bring in the hard work and the consistency. And there's hard work anywhere. This dimension, 3D dimension, there's challenges, there's hard work, and that's something I didn't believe in as a kid and as a teenager, and as a young 20s girl. So it just embedded in this dimension, so there's no way around it. You may have luck in like I said, coming into this world with already a fortunate, prosperous family, but you still experience hard work in areas of your life. Maybe in the health department, maybe in the relationship department. So there's no escape to that. So, and accepting that as well was a huge help for me to shift my way of thinking how this world should go. Accepting that, okay, there's gonna be challenges, there's gonna be hard work, there's gonna be parts of my my life where I'm gonna have to do what's required of me at the moment. There's a balance between or like a interplay between challenge, responsibility, and pleasure and play. So right now I'm adjusting my life to trying to find balance between challenge, responsibility, and pleasure, play. It leads to a more satisfactory, fulfilling reward when you just come home from work, from a certain job, from your job, and you get to have that pleasure and play. More rest and relaxation. So the reality I'm believing right now is that challenges and obstacles will still occur. And the universe is still working behind the scenes with pulling strings. So the universe is still working behind the scenes with pulling strings. It's working in the background. You will still see the fruits of your labor nonetheless. I also want to mention, oh wow, this video is a lot. Millions of people, actually billions of people are struggling they're holding on by a thread. A lot of us are holding on by a thread. And I applaud anyone holding on right now. And whether you go to a food pantry, whether you're living in a car, in an RV, you're holding on. You're saying to yourself every day, I'm not giving up on myself. I'm not giving up on taking care of myself, looking out for myself, be finding ways to look out for yourself, especially older adults, just like anyone right now trying to make it, trying to survive. Like, I don't care if it's through Amazon. Like, you're just trying to provide for yourself. Like, that's not easy right now in this economy. So I applaud anyone trying to make it for themselves, trying to survive, trying to make it throughout their day. Trying to make it, finding ways to make it, even if it's working a job, even if it's trading time for money. You're trying to make it. So I wanted to close out just saying I applaud anyone that's just trying to make it. I hope that this helps with shifting your outlook on life. There's peace and accepting where we are at in our life. Oh, and gratitude is something that really helps us with acceptance. So we'll see you in the next.